Okay, how's it going, y'all? Today I'm going to be talking about how to do a massive cloth simulation. So we're going to try and get close to like 10,000 different cloth physics simulations going on. Um, so let's just get right into it. The first thing you want to do is just go and, delete this guy here. And let's add in a plane. Let's just scale this up a little bit. And cycles, my bad. Let's go ahead and get our cloth simulated object. For this tutorial, I'm just going to be doing a UV sphere ghost. So this is something that's really simple to make, so if you're trying to follow along, then this should be nice and easy. So first thing you want to do is just, when you have your sphere selected, go ahead and add a collision modifier to it. Then we're going to add in another plane directly on top of that. For some reason it turned off my screencast keys. Here we go. Alright, they're back. Okay, with the plane selected, let's go ahead and just subdivide this a few times. I'm gonna do about 5 times. I think that should be good. Since we're gonna have a lot of these, you want to keep it relatively low poly. But we're gonna make up for that. We're gonna shade it smooth, and then we're also going to come down here. Be sure to add that cloth modifier real fast, and then come down here and then add a subdivision surface modifier. Go ahead and crank that up to 2 levels in the viewport, and we'll leave it at 2 in the render for now. We can adjust that later. Okay, so that's looking pretty good. Go ahead and go back down to the cloth modifier and go to collisions, and then set self collisions so that they'll be colliding with themselves. Good. Okay. A couple more things we got to do here real fast. I'm gonna tab into edit mode and then click 1, and then we're gonna add a vertex group here. So click the little plus sign and then hit assign. Then go back to the cloth modifier and go to shape, and then there should be this little pen group box here. Go and click on that, and then let's just use the group we just made. So it should be grabbing right here at the top. Tab out of edit mode, go back to start, and let's just lower this down onto the sphere there, so you can't really see that it's like hanging from this one point. Alright, and then let's Control P, parent these things together. Great. We're only doing that because we're going to be moving this orb forwards. We're going to try and get it to look like this cloak is just kind of fluttering in the wind a little bit. But before we get to that, let's go ahead and just add on the finishing touches of our little ghost guy here. Add in a UV sphere. Flatten it out a little bit. Good. Something like that ought to work. Just gonna line them up and add a material. Color it black. Okay. Duplicate it. Move it over. See how that's looking. Control J, and then just come down here and parent it to the sphere. So now when we move it, it'll move this whole thing, but we gotta move the sphere object. Okay, so before we get any movement going on, let's just go ahead and duplicate this guy a few times so that we don't have to go back and undo all the keyframes and whatnot. Just gonna duplicate him. For this tutorial, I'm just going to do like 6 different variations of this. I think ought to be enough. If your computer is having a hard time rendering all of these guys, then do less and then just keep adding them on at the end. Yeah, so let's go and get started with the animation part. Just going to scale this path out a little bit, and then going to add in a force field. Add in some wind, rotate it along, depending on which axis you're working on. I'm doing Y. And then let's come down to the properties here for this force field and add a bit of strength. You really want it to kind of be hitting these guys and forcing them backwards. Okay, we definitely need some more strength there. There we go. Just keep moving it up until you get something you feel looks right. Kind of liking that. Yeah, okay. Go back to the start here, and then the finishing touches. What we're gonna do for each of these is just play with the gravity a little bit. So I'm just gonna drop it down. You can see here, that'll make it look a little bit more weightless, obviously. Yeah, let's drop it down a lot, maybe like 0.5. Oh yeah, I'm liking the look of that. Let's go and keyframe the sphere here. So I'm gonna add one keyframe on first frame here, and then go all the way up to 250, and let's just move this sphere all the way up to the end of our track there. And add in the next keyframe. Double check the parenting real fast here, just make sure we got it parented to the object. There we go. It's weird, not sure why that glitched. But okay, yeah, that looks good. The next thing we gotta do is just start baking this. So go down to the cloth physics, and before we hit bake, let's just set the simulation to start 30 frames before our animation is gonna start. This is just gonna ensure that the cloth itself is already, you know, kind of dropped and like looking correct before the animation starts. So after you set this to -30, where the simulation starts, hit bake, and we're gonna wait it out, see how it looks. Alright, it's finished baking. Let's see how it did. Nice. He is moving fast. That'll be kind of cool. Obviously, play with the speed. You can slow him down or whatever, you know, depending on the effect that you're going for. But let's just go ahead and keyframe out the rest of these. So I'm just going to repeat the same thing each time. Just going to keyframe here at the start location, go to 250, and go ahead and move the sphere down. Keyframe it, go back to the start. It's looking good. And just to get a little variation going on, I'm gonna adjust the gravity on the ghost a little bit, and let's adjust the wind speed a little bit as well. Set the simulation start to -30, and then bake it again. Okay, so now we're just gonna repeat that process a few more times, just for each of these guys. So I'm gonna go and time lapse this part. Just go ahead and, you know, make minor variations to each one, and then we will meet back up. Alright, and we're back. So it looks like all of them have finished baking. You can see there's like some nice variations and stuff going on. They're all fluttering in the wind pretty nicely. The only thing that's left to do now is we're gonna add them to a particle emitter, and we're also gonna add some materials. So for the sake of this, I'm just gonna assign them all to material 2. Probably should have done this before duplicating them, but it's not that much work to go back and do it over. So just do something like that. I'm just going to duplicate the material on some of them and just like vary the shade of red just a little bit, just so it helps differentiate between the ghosts. And yeah, I think I'm gonna keep them all red. I think I'm kind of liking that feel. Oops, forgot to duplicate that one. Go back here, get that initial shade. Cool, let's see how it's looking. Yeah, so they're all a little different. I'm liking that. Gonna go ahead and add just Nishida Sky texture, just because I really like the feel of it. Although we could mess with something a little different. Maybe we could try and do some more dramatic lighting. But for now, I think this will be fine. Gonna mess with it a little bit, bring that intensity down. That's looking cool. We can come back to that. For now, let's go ahead and we're gonna make this the plane for our particle emitter. So let's just go and add a new one, add hair, and then let's actually hide that real fast. Go to X-ray mode and just, oh, that's my hard ops. Whoops. Did not mean to have that on. Okay. Cool. Go and select everything, and let's go down here and hit move to collection, new collection, ghosts. Perfect. Okay. Now let's go back to our plane. We can unhide this, and let's go back into the hair settings. We're gonna go to render, oops, render as collection, choose our ghost collection that we just created, and we want to select whole collection. That's gonna make sure that it is getting like all of the like eyeballs and stuff that we added in addition to everything else. Cool. Here we go. Let's also, just while we're here, source and random. Keep it nice and random looking. Let's see how they're looking. Alright. So you can see they're all moving. We have 6 of them, so it'll be relatively tricky to tell some of them apart. I mean, obviously there will be like duplicates, but it just depends on how you want to use this in your scene. You could create more, but this is just a good way to have like a whole army of them, and not completely melt your computer. So some things we can do to make it look a little better. As you can see, we're at like 1,000 here. So if you just go down to children, hit simple, and then scroll down, and let's increase the radius that they can be from each other, and the roundness, which is just gonna like layer some on top and some below each other. So if you have this plane sitting, you know. Okay, I'm actually gonna change the display amount to like 5, because that's looking like a few too many, and my computer is not having a good time, mostly because I'm recording this and running other software at the same time. Let's crank the roundness up. As you can see, it's splitting them out a little bit. There we go. Now we have an entire horde going on. Oh, why do I? Okay. I had Adobe Illustrator open for like no reason. Alright, let's check the rendered view here. Nice. There's a lot of them. Something we can do just for like some easy lighting, just if you have an HDRI that you like, obviously just go ahead and throw it on there. Let's see what I have. Let's see how this will affect things. Kind of want something that makes it like a little spooky, like at night. Oh, this is too dark. Hold on, let's load something a little different. This might be a little brighter. I'm liking that. Let's mess with some other stuff. Overcast day here. Oh, I like the look of this. What we could do is just like add in a little sun lamp. Something like that. And crank the strength up a little bit. Oh yeah. There you go. There's an entire army of cloth simulated ghosts. One last thing that you're going to want to do is just uncheck this show emitter box here, because we're not going to want to see that. Oops. But yeah, there you have it. This should be good. I hope you enjoyed the tutorial. If you found this helpful or have any questions, just be sure to leave a comment. Let me know. I'll try and get back to you. And like and sub. Great. Have a good day.